Number 6, Ohio State defeating number 9, Notre Dame 17-14 in Notre Dame, Indiana. I say Notre Dame, Indiana because that is an actual place where they put the stadium. South Bend is the city around it. Ask the South Bend folks about how they feel about that. It's probably the way the Buckeyes feel about Ohio State. Or more to the point, it's probably the way that Buckeyes feel about, well, getting this win against Notre Dame. What I'm saying here is it came down to the wire at the end of this, and it was dramatic. We had everything go on, but what we got to see is why I have Ohio State ranked the number 3 team in the country in my top 25, and I see no reason to change that. Notre Dame we'll talk about here, but did not expect this game to be 3-0 at halftime. That's starters, number 1. Number 2 is if I had told you that Ohio State would give up just 14 points into the fourth quarter against Notre Dame, you would probably think Ohio State was winning. Not so. Ohio State trailed 14-10 late in this game, and yet and still, it didn't feel like they were going to pull this thing out. Kyle McCord needed to come up with something special, not necessarily with Marvin Harrison Jr., but with Emeka Egbuka, who was there right on time when they needed him. Got a big play out of Julian Fleming, and of course, they got the big explosive play from Travion Henderson to get their first 6 on the board. Outstanding win for Ohio State, and really, I think the best win all year for any football team so far. That is truly an outstanding accomplishment, and if nothing else, helps Buckeye fans feel better about this Big Ten schedule that remains because they got to get past Penn State, who's good, and they got to get past Michigan, who is good. Ohio State's Marvin Harrison Jr. also tied Chris Carter's record for 100-yard receiving games in this game, bounced back from an ankle injury to really go make some plays. The Martian is outstanding. Benjamin Morrison also showed me some stuff out there at corner for Notre Dame. Outstanding play from him. Sam Hartman looked the part. Audric Estime looked the part. I would not be shocked to find out that Ohio State and Notre Dame make the college football playoff this year. If things break that way, nobody's going to get mad about watching what we watched again because it came down to, frankly, a Bush push. Matt Leinart was up there going, I did it first. Y'all did it second. But they got in there. Chip Trayanum punching it in with 1 second left on the clock in a game that was, 2.5-point favorite to the Buckeyes, which means that if the referees had not put 1 second back on the clock, that's the game, right? 16-14, because in college, you don't kick the extra point like in the NFL, where you kick the extra point regardless, which means somebody is really, really mad about that 1 second being put back on the clock, if for no other reason than it means that Ohio State covered and Notre Dame did not. Ohio State also ranked second nationally in scoring defense, and they needed to be. That was the story for me going into this game. How good would each one of these secondaries be when playing 2 of the better quarterbacks in the sport, Sam Hartman and Kyle McCord? Kyle McCord showed his youth, right? There's no getting around that. There's that interception in the end zone, and then, frankly, you can't punch it in from the 1-yard line to get 6 in the first half. Game did not need to be as close as it was for Ohio State, but you can't get experience without experience. This is also me telling all you hiring managers out there, hire the young person with no experience. They're hungry and they want it. Don't CYA. Put the 5-star quarterback out there and say, okay, now's the time. Go win the football game or learn from not winning the football game. Thankfully for him, because he got to go back to Columbus, he won the football game. I was really impressed with Ohio State's offensive line against Notre Dame's front 7, even though they had their own problems and issues along the way. I did not expect it to be as tooth and nail for both of these offenses as it was, even as I expected the defenses to be good. But Jim Knowles' defense is finally starting to click for the Buckeyes in a very real way. Again, giving up just 14 points to this Notre Dame team is not any small feat. It's enormous. But I love that Ohio State and Ohio against the world is really what they felt, because in that environment, Notre Dame did a really great job of keeping Scarlet out of their stands. Unlike the last time that a team wearing red showed up to Notre Dame, in Georgia, when it felt like just a Red Sea over there. Notre Dame came out in a big way, expecting to get this win. I love that they went for the win. I love that Ohio State didn't back down. I love that Notre Dame found a way to give themselves opportunities to win this game. I think that Notre Dame versus USC down the line is going to be one hell of a football game, just like this one. And I think that's the road, right? You go undefeated the rest of the way. You beat USC. You're right there. especially if Ohio State wins the Big Ten championship. Nobody's going to hold this one against you. And frankly, I'm not either. So I get into my top 25 that will go out early Sunday morning, but late Saturday night, depending on where you are. I don't expect to see a lot of movement between these two teams, but I do expect folks to look at Notre Dame a bit differently. Maybe you thought less of them before this game. Maybe you think more of them afterward. I certainly do, right? I got to see these guys show up in a way that I wanted to see them show up all year. You can't tell me anything about beating up on Navy. Can't tell me anything about beating up on North Carolina State. You can't tell me anything about beating up on Tennessee State. But you get Ohio State at your door, and you're up 14-10 late with an opportunity to win the game, and you force Ohio State to find something mean and nasty at the bottom of the well to go and beat you, yeah, you're a tough football team and then some. This is also the fewest points allowed at this point, 48 years, or since the 1975 team allowed 16 points in games 1 through 3. That's Notre Dame, Ohio State. Ohio State's defense has allowed just 20 points through the first 3 games of the entire year. I did not expect to go into this year thinking that Ohio State's defense was going to be the strength of the football team. I don't think anybody did. But I'll tell you, Ohio State fans are here to see it because they know the offense will catch up, right? The line will come together. Kyle McCord will begin to figure it out. And having those tailbacks, Chip Trayanum and Travion Henderson in particular, is only going to help you. Having other options other than Marvin Harrison Jr., like Emeka Buka, like Julian Fleming, that's only going to help you. Xavier Johnson come up with a big play to help win this game. It was a real team effort from the Buckeyes this year. They did not give up a point in the second half all season until today, right? Again, Notre Dame, hats off to you. Didn't root for you, but I respect the hell out of you. Ohio State, pull one out. Maybe this is the team to get past Penn State and then Michigan and get back to winning the Big Ten championship. We'll see. We got a lot of football left to play.